All right, let's start with our therapy. Welcome everyone for today's briefing. Pauline is online. Okay, I can just see Pauline online.
Yeah, I'm here. Kia ora.
Kia ora. And welcome to staff and our presenter for today. Just moving forward, we've got apologies from Dawn and Emma. Victoria is here and Pauline is online. So we have first up Kevin. May I please request you?
Afternoon, everyone. So today I'm here just to go through the annual planning 2026-27 three water budgets, which is covering the capital changes and also just at the end just briefly cover off the changes. So what I'll do, I'll go through. You can feel free to answer questions through or at the end.
At the end.
So overall, from a program perspective, there is a reduction in capital, the capital budget, and that's largely driven through deliverability. We had a budget of 390 million. There's a number of projects that haven't taken off as quick as we'd hope. For example, Akara, wastewater, and a few others. So the budget's down at 273 million. I'm confident we will meet that quite comfortably, and any opportunities we see to improve spend, all going well, we come back to council and asking for more budget through next year if we meet our targets. Next slide just covers the primary drivers where the money's been spent between level of service, meeting additional demand and replacing existing assets. Just go through the individual activities. Wastewater, we've reduced from 175 to 134 million. You can see the budget's been pushed out for future years. That's largely driven through ACRA and also some of the bigger projects, the spend not happening as quickly as we had originally planned. The primary drivers, you can see there, significant driver is through renewal. So one thing we have done is protect our renewal of assets with, I suppose it's a ring fence, maintain that we are reinvesting in those assets that we have. So most of the changes we've done has been with most of the other projects, and no projects have been deleted. It's just rephasing of budgets. So budgets have been pushed out where the spend hasn't come through as quickly as we'd planned. So the key projects for next year is the activated sludge plant, the Selwyn Street pump station pressure swimming. That project's there is a level service project, which is to reduce wastewater overflows. Grassmere with the storage facility and wastewater recirculation renewals are the main projects next year. So a lot of our spend is in some of the larger projects. So that comes with a benefit and also a risk. One there is all those projects up there are in contract or about to be in contract. So they'll be underway. And once you're in contract, the spend is pretty much one in front of us. The risk is a single month delay can actually have quite a significant impact to our capital spend. Changes in the rephasing of the budgets can be seen there. The top 10. So across our capital program, we've got over 750 projects. So we obviously we just picked the top 10 here for each activity to show the changes. And again, a lot of those projects they're in either in contract or about to go to contract, and often to take the activated sludge, for example, that's in contract. We have the cash flow from the contractor, so we now know where the spend is going to be. So therefore, the rephasing has been adjusted to what the contractor's program is, as opposed to what our estimate was. Water supply, reduction from 112 million down to 79 million. Again, that funding is pushed out to future years. You see significant spend in renewals. Just want to emphasise that we haven't reduced the spend on water main renewals at all. So the key projects there up the top is water main renewals at 48 million and some minor projects, which is in smart customer and continuous water quality monitoring data. So compared to wastewater has significant large projects, and in the water space, it's mostly just renewals. Top 10 proposed changes. There's a lot of pump stations that we have planned that have been rephased due to timing, and that can be partly due to getting access to land, but also we were phased out for those contracts to come in place. So we don't want all those pump stations coming into construction at the same time. We want to phase them. So the first off will be Kerr's Road Pump Station, which we have done some rephasing. That should be in contract later this year. Stormwater flood protection. This is the one with the largest difference. We're going from 101 million down to 60 million. This is different to the other activities in the space that a lot of the funding is sitting in the improved level of service, which is to do with mostly in stormwater treatment, but also flood protection. Key projects next year, Addington Brockrington Drain, that's out for tender at the moment. The service flooding reduction, that's sitting at 4.3. So we had 20 million this next financial year. We were not going to spend that, so we rephased, I think, in the sort of about 10 million we've pushed out to port. So we're now sitting at 4.3. These projects get underway this year, and that's under that program. The other projects here are all related to stormwater treatment and some flood protection. So the team top proposed changes, again, rephasing. Stormwater is our most challenging projects to deliver, mostly due to the fact that a lot of it is related to having to work within private property or consenting. So the rephasing has been conservative for that reason. All going well would certainly meet that budget easily. And obviously, I'll just cover off that there has been a reduction of 2.5 million in our FY27. So that covers the changes in the annual plan. I'm happy to take questions.
Mark?
Thank you. It's a lot of reduction for next financial years, and obviously put it up for a first slide, which is just the wastewater component. But what is the main driver? Is that coming through lack of contractors, or actually something happening within council that's preventing it getting to contractors?
I think it's certainly not contractors. We've got in Canterbury, our pool of contractors is very good, so they've got more capacity. I think the fact that we ended up at 390 million for next year, and the only reason I see that happen is that when we've underspent a few in past years, it's just been put into that year, which was not ever going to be deliverable. I think if the projects that if ACRA was in place, and also looking at we are sitting with some of those larger projects, we would be comfortably sitting in over 300 million quite easily if they hadn't occurred. But the 390, so if you looked at the long-term plan, there was never 390. It's sort of, and this is a problem when works are deferred by putting them, where the budgets are phased to. It's a significant capital program at 390.
Yeah.
So I think there is, particularly in the stormwater space, there has been some delays in that area due to consenting. And so, I mean, the challenges with private property, there may be many, but the value is low of those projects. But certainly on some of those bigger projects, we've encountered a while ago, which we have a short-term fix around a consent issue with groundwater that to delay significant projects in that space.
So to get this right, we've got a big enough pool of contractors, but we've still got too many projects for that pool of contractors. So
no, we have sufficient contractors to deliver capital program to delivering. They're not the reason for us reducing from 390 million down to 275. The reason for us to do a reduction is two parts. One is deliverability. Two, there was some pressure to get to get it down to about 275 for the annual plan.
So what was that pressure for? Like
From an envelope, from a budget perspective. So if we had pre-ran, I'm pretty confident we could have delivered maybe just under 300 million. That's why I'm saying that
to reduce rates.
I don't know, this is a directive given to us, but I'm reasonably confident that if we will deliver 275, and if we do our job well, we'll be coming back asking if we can have a bit more for next year. So, but we should be doing that every year to aim to spend our budget fully. The other interesting factor that's occurred in the last 12 to 18 months, particularly in the renewal space, is our projects come in well under budget. So what's happened in the past is, and that could be the last 2 years, is that budget's been back up the program. So for this year, what I've said, it won't be carried forward because we've done the job. By carrying it forward, we're just creating more of a challenge to spend those funds. So if I just pick out two projects just recently, Riccarton Interceptor, just finished, $4 million under budget. There's a water main that I signed off, I think it was last week, 2 million under budget. So if you take that and you push it to next year, it's actually making our deliverability even more challenging. So the plan next year is not to carry forward. Essentially, we just that budget would just go.
Thanks. Victoria?
Thank you. My question's sort of followed on a little bit from Mike's there, and it focuses in on the deliverability. And can you confirm then that when you reference projects being phased out, that is only in relation to the drawdown of the funds and the spending of the funds, and it doesn't actually impact the timeline for completion of the project? Can you clarify that?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. So we work to what we call milestones, which is completion dates. So they don't get changed unless there's a good reason to change them. So the rephasing does not change where we set for the project to finish, unless there's a reason that is justified. For example, we can't get land access or something like that. That's out of our control. Otherwise, we'll rephase it. That timeline wouldn't change, and will be showing up that the project is behind.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. My second question is, it's a bit lower down, really. I wondered if someone can come back to me, please, in relation to project 66183 for the stormwater Dudley Creek lighting renewal. If someone can let me know just which part of Dudley Creek that is, please, I'd be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gavin. Just curious about the OPEX changes, sort of how will that, what would the community see different with that 2.5 million reduction in OPEX?
It doesn't change anything we are doing now or have done, but what it will impact is, we were intending to do work around infiltration and flow into networks, stormwater infiltration and flow. So, we won't be doing any work in that space. It's also potentially around the asset inspections, CCTV. I probably will be an impact in that area. So we have to obviously prioritise. So there might be other aspects that we would have been doing, but we won't. So in terms of the best way I can terms that we'll be meeting level of service, but maybe not doing what I would call best practice.
Okay.
Jake.
Thanks, Kevin. Hey, the smart meter rollout, can you give me some quick facts about, I guess, what the current size of the gap is and how many meters are going in on an annual basis? And yeah. Just not.
So I think from a budget perspective, we just did some work on this recently. So we have just let some contracts just recently. And I can't recall, but I know this year they're dealing to the rest of Littleton and some other areas in town. So it is a long program, that smart meter. It's it exceeds 10 years.
There's money on budget for 33, 34.
So the big focus is obviously on those. So the priority is the areas that we have issues in terms of water capacity. So Littleton's an area that's been dealt with. Obviously, we've done Akaroa There's also non-metered connections as another priority. And the next third priority is where those zones that would benefit from further monitoring, particularly where there's other issues. But in terms of dealing with the whole city, that the budget makeup at the moment is over 10 years where the funds are spread.
And the idea is that if people have leaks when they have a smart meter, that can be detected. When you say detection,
yeah, there has been particularly quite a few occasions, particularly in Accra, where the homeowner's been notified because the amount of water going through the meter has been phenomenal. So that is obviously it's a good thing for the homeowner, but for us it's also good because Accra is a place where we don't have excess water to waste. Going into the future, and this will be some years down the track, to once we get enough out there, is to move to the space like you do with your you potentially have with your power provider, where the homeowner can go on and actually see their consumption and would get notified if there was a change in demands.
right?
That's some time away.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It's cool. Thank you. Thank you, Gavin, for your time and.
Thank you.
Rob. Welcome, Rob.
Afternoon. It's not often I get an opportunity to speak to yourselves, so it's quite a privilege and hopefully some good news. My colleague Sam has recently delivered the City to Sea West, which has been pretty well used. So just a quick summary. Essentially, the project that I'm informing you about today, the Fitzgerald-Stanmore sector, is really a continuation of the City to Sea West. We're looking to sort of finish the development on that sector and sort of landscape the interior. So I'll take you through our plans and feel free to jump in and ask questions at any point. I know there's a lot of interest around a certain part of this plan, so you may want to just pick those moments. Just let me get through the background and the context so that I can set the scene, and then we can talk to that a bit more. Very well. So site context and background, as I said, the project is located between Fitzgerald Ave and Stanmore Road, and then it's bounded by the river and Harvey Terrace up on the upper edge. We see this as an opportunity to create an entrance into the river corridor, the Red Zone River Corridor. We believe that along the success of the City to Sea pathway, we could use this momentum to sort of create a bit more buzz and a bit more activation around the corridor, hence the idea of developing this space. As mentioned in the presentation, post-earthquake, the area was sort of open space, defined mainly by sort of grasslands and mature boundary trees. The only remaining building is the old Bill Sutton private residence. And like I've said, the central location makes it an ideal spot to connect all those walking and cycling pathways into the City to Sea. There is a lower flood risk on this site due to it being further upstream, and the site itself, with its natural topography, lends itself to some protection against flooding, although we have made allowance for 3 water assets in the space in future. So some of the key issues and moves on this site, as is the problem with many of the red zone sites along the river, coastal inundation is an ongoing issue. And a big theme of our plan through the corridor is just learning to work with and work around water rather than against it. One of the issues that has been highlighted in the corridor, and particularly this space, is there is a lack of recreational space, in particular for sort of older demographic. There seems to be quite a large availability of play activities for smaller or younger children, whereas sort of your intermediate to early teens seem to be lacking any really fun sort of recreational space. The site has a slightly less ecological sort of value than in some of our other sites further down towards Bexley, but we still believe that we can achieve some pretty good outcomes. One of the themes that has come up throughout the corridor and through a lot of our consultation is the lack of parking. Obviously, we don't want to fill the whole corridor up with parking, but we want to provide some suitable launch points, and I think this project lends itself to the ability to do that. One of the things that you'll notice from my presentation is that it sort of finds itself right up against the urban edge. So you've got the city that's sort of developed, and then suddenly you've got this corridor, and it starts. And we see this as a perfect site to sort of transition from that hard urban edge into a slightly more relaxed ecological space. So it certainly offers a lot of excitement and opportunity from that point of view. Yeah, some of the key moves, as I've said, include planting up the lower terrace, putting in some recreational space, parking, and then making provision for Three Waters assets in future. All right, program scope and budget. So in scope, educational and recreational areas. On some of the other red zone projects, what we've done is we try and take the community, the local community along for the journey. So on the Avon Park project, which is nearing completion, a few k's down the road, we've worked quite closely with Fido School, a local school, and they've actually become guardians of the Mahingakai area, and we've worked quite closely with them in certain elements of the design. So we'll be looking to do the same on this project. There has been some appetite from local youth groups and people to be involved, and it is quite good to have a particular youth group or young group that we can work with and then appoint as guardians of that area. And we found that greatly reduces vandalism and antisocial behaviour. As I've said previously, there's an expansion of the walking and cycling connections from the city to the pathway. A design and spatial allocation for Three Waters assets. This includes floodwater management, additional parking and launch points for the city to see, and then some ecological restoration on the lower terrace. It must be very clear that although trial housing is shown, or edge housing is shown on this plan, as it is throughout the development plan for the corridor, it is out of scope on this project. Obviously, we need to consider it when developing and designing the space, but it is very much out of scope for this. And the idea or the thinking behind that is that a third party may be interested in developing this at some point. Private lease properties, which include the Richmond Tennis Club, which I believe is one of the oldest tennis clubs in Christchurch, Sutton House, the old Bull Sutton House, and the business located at 238 Fitzgerald Ave are all out of scope on this project. Doesn't mean we won't be working in collaboration with those stakeholders. In fact, we've done some pre-engagement already with Sutton House, and we've been discussing how we might find a win-win for both sites. Any questions? No. Some of the key milestones. After this community board presentation, we'd be looking to go out to public consultation. It's usually for a project of this size, about 4 weeks. We'd obviously like to target it mainly to the residents and the local community. We do work quite closely with Darlington Residents Association and the Richmond Community Group. Following that, and once we have our consultation received, we'd wrap that into a developed or a slightly more detailed design, and I'd be looking to present that to yourselves again, at which point, if we're comfortable with what's been presented, and once I've received direction and approval from all the stakeholders, we'd submit our consent, which we believe would be a lot smoother than some of the projects that we've dealt with so far, just due to the fact that there's not as much contamination in this space. We're hoping to get this into construction by May 2027, with practical completion by December 2027. We have budget available for this. It's currently running under the ecological restoration budget, and that is funded through a combination of long-term plan and CRAF. We estimate the budget to be somewhere between $2.5 million. That's not to say that's what it will be. That is just an envelope amount at this point. Just a high-level concept plan. As I've mentioned previously, the Richmond Tennis Club has tennis courts on the lower and upper terrace. The lower terrace has recently been refurbished. Sutton House is a big feature of our concept plan, and stakeholders at Sutton House have indicated that they are struggling to create awareness around what Sutton House really is. Most people don't know much about the place at all. So we're working quite closely with the trust to attempt to activate that space a little bit more, because I think there's a lot to be offered around there. As I said, on the upper terrace, recreational spaces, educational spaces, and 2 viewing platforms. So one up on sort of the northwest corner and the other down in the, I guess you'd say, southeast. And then the lower terrace would largely be an ecological zone reserved for flood capacity. So when the river overflows its banks, you can use that as an extended floodplain. Obviously, we've got City to Sea running along there, and that would be designed to be occasionally flooded. Templar Street and Harvey Terrace do lend themselves to some good parking space, and we'd certainly be trying to use the economies of scale to get as many parking spaces into that as possible. We have noted that the use on the City to Sea pathway is increasing, and many people use Templar and Harvey Terrace as launch points for rides along the City to Sea. Some of the things that we have toyed with, some ideas, perhaps a pump track, things, racket sports, things like pickleball that are quite popular at the moment, calisthenics equipment, and then up near the Sutton Terrace, sort of bike hire facilities, fresh produce market, a coffee van, arts, crafts, and food trucks. Just some ideas of things that we thought might look good. You can see a lot of the play elements are consistent with what we're doing in the corridor, which is sort of nature play, nature inspired. We try and recycle and reuse materials from other projects wherever we can, just to keep continuity. Obviously, treaty partnership is a big one for us working in the corridor, and we have a very good working relationship with Ngāi already through Whiriora. Michael, no, we've met with him a few times. We've got I think, a relationship that's certainly becoming very beneficial to both parties, as well as Ngāi Research Centre, who provide cultural input and technical advice on a lot of our projects. Yes, I feel like we're quite well set in that space. We do work with selected stakeholder groups. There's a lot of interest, no shortage of ideas in the corridor. As I've mentioned previously, the Richmond Community Group hosts a gala a few times a year, which we would man a stall and use that as a platform to share some of the work we're doing. It's usually a good support bed for a lot of the council projects. Targeted consultation, and I'm open to instruction from yourselves. If there's anyone you would like specifically contacted or worked with or consulted, we're more than willing to do that. Yeah, and as I've said, we've done some pre-engagement with the trustees from the Sutton House and the Tennis Club. And a lot of the input that we will be presenting is refined by some of the needs from those stakeholder groups. Next steps, as I've said, start community engagement. We'd be looking to do that over 4 weeks. We usually cast quite a wide net, just because the corridor is of interest to most residents in Canterbury. We would then be looking to refine our design based on feedback received, and then present that to yourselves for formal approval, and then prepare our consent documentation and head through to develop design before putting the project out to tender. Questions?
Oh, thank you, Rob.
Yeah, pleasure.
I have more of a statement than a question.
Yeah, sure.
I know you guys will still go into a design phase later.
Yes.
But a lot of at the moment, I have been talking to 16 to mid-30s, that age group, with cost of living prices, health, fitness equipment.
Yep.
So I was talking to somebody and they said that they go to Higley Park because that's where they're saving money.
Yeah.
And this would be a perfect opportunity to create
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And keeping in mind our people with different abilities as well, just on that fitness.
Yeah.
Because this is such a great opportunity for us to, utilize the space.
Yeah.
So just make a note of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you've captured the spirit of what we're trying to do quite well. It would be a slightly less urban feel of a Hagley Park type project, where you've got a miniaturized version of recreation. It's a cost-effective place where people can come and exercise. Yeah.
And certainly using some natural elements to create those. So like for children, like how they were climbing up, those kind of things, but same time for our elderly people have sort of a gathering type space where, you can take a picnic basket or sit down, have a yarn, that kind of sort of environment.
Yeah.
Especially when you're having a walk around the seabed, cup of coffee, sit down together. So that kind of area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Victoria, please.
Thank you very much. I see that you've included other racket sports, and I know that there is quite a movement with pickleball at the moment. We're always looking for land to open up to develop new courts. If there's some organisations out there that want to look and work in partnership with you, what's the appropriate way? Is it just through the consultation, or can there be a contact person, please, for them to contact?
Probably myself would be all through the consultation process, but I'm happy to pass my details along. We work quite closely with targeted stakeholders. I have worked with some of the sports groups on various projects throughout, so I'm more than happy to work with them and try and let their needs into something.
Pass your details on.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Just interested in the status of the tennis courts. You mentioned in the presentation about the upper sort of northern ones, I guess, repurposed. Are all of those courts in use currently? What's happening?
Good question. Simon, so there's two courts on the footprint at the moment. The upper terrace is in quite a bad state of disrepair. So the club is quite a small club. I don't think they have more than possibly 20 members at this point. So they've repurposed the lower terrace and sort of recently resurfaced that, and that I believe was at their own cost. That's in a reasonably good state of repair. It was probably done within the last 5 years. The upper terrace, not so much.
Thank you. Just one follow-up question in relation to that broad concept design you've got there on page 6. Is the yellow square beside the river a launch pad for kayaks, or what's that intended there?
There's no
There's a yellow spot on you.
There's no access plan to the river. Let me have a quick look at that. So let's go back.
Is that something you would consider?
If there was a demand for it, potentially. No, sorry. So that's actually a historic pump station.
We built it because you've got kayak access on the other side by got the steps down there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you do. It's quite a contentious issue, believe it or not, access to the river. So that's and we'd look to wrap that historic pump station into the story of what we're doing on the site. We felt that was something that could be sort of utilised from a landscape and aesthetic point of view. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Good,
Thank you so
good.
much.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.
I think, yes.
In a couple of months.
I'll just,
Yeah, Pauline.
because Rob, when you say engagement, do you actually mean full consultation?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, full consultation. Yep. So
Will,
size.
will there be some public meetings or? What do you?
Absolutely. Yeah. So historically, we've done a couple of drop-in sessions, and as I say, we present at the Richmond Community Gala. Yeah, that's the way we've done it previously, and we usually get a very positive uptake on those. Those and I'm open to suggestions of where you think it might be best, but we generally just choose a site or somewhere nearby that sort of works for the local community.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, we'll finish it from here and then we'll go for our. Oh.